Now introducing a new segment on the Second Swing Thoughts podcast. We're calling it the Sister Scramble. We've got the McCauley sisters with us. We have Bella McCauley, who you know if you've been following the YouTube channel or the podcast, but also her sister Reese is with us. And both of you guys, before we get into discussions today, I'm going to just introduce you guys fairly with some of the background and the accolades that you've achieved. So Bella McCauley currently has the scoring average, the career scoring average record at the University of Minnesota, 70.25. That's pretty darn good. Has won 2 invitationals outright, is that correct? Or 2 college tournaments outright?
Yep.
Shared the Big Ten title last year. You've qualified for back-to-back NCAA championships as an individual. And now, which we'll talk about in a future episode, but you've earned an invite to the Augusta National Women's Amateur. Reese also has a heck of a golf resume already. 2-time state champion. Top 10 back-to-back years at the USGA Girls Junior. And then actually had a stellar first fall season, 73 scoring average, and also shot a 65 for the lowest round of the year for a Gopher. So with that said, how does that make you guys feel to hear like those things? Like, I know you guys are trying to be humble in that whole thing, but like, how did you hear those accolades and those achievements? Does that like trigger any emotions for you guys?
Well, I think it's pretty solid for her. But
I was gonna say,
yeah,
I feel like you got 2 high school state titles. I got 1, so that's what I took of that. But I think seriously, I think it's actually like crazy when you put it that way, because that's not really how like we see it in the moment.
Yeah.
We're just in like our day-to-day grind and really just trying our best each day. Every day is a new day with golf, so we don't really see it like that. So when you put it that way, it's pretty cool, but we definitely don't always see it that way.
Yeah, we're just just out there having fun, and then
I mean, that's probably the right
sometimes
perspective.
it just happens, and then we're like, oh, cool.
Well, that's where it's probably easy to get caught up in stuff like that for some people, and then
Right.
maybe there's added pressure and things like that. But it seems like you guys are well beyond that and keeping it day to day, as you said. So it's the end of January right now. The spring season is I think as of the recording right now, tomorrow you guys leave or is it today even?
We leave Friday.
Okay.
Yeah, so a couple days.
So in a few days. So you guys are leaving shortly for your first, I guess, spring event. So is things are back into the full swing here. I mean, I'm sure your schedules are going crazy. Again, that's another topic that we'll really dive into in a future episode. But how are you feeling about the spring season?
Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good about it. It's definitely getting pretty busy in this season. I feel like I always forget how busy it gets, and then we get into it. But yeah, it's been really fun. We're super excited for the first tournament. It's going to be in Puerto Rico. So it'll be fun. We'll get some good tan.
Yeah.
And then, but yeah, had our first training trip this past weekend with the team. So it was really fun to just spend some time with the team and get out and play some golf. So.
Nice.
Yeah, I think we're feeling pretty good. Like, the team atmosphere is really good, just really cohesive, and I think it's going to be a really fun season just traveling with everyone, so it'll be fun. We're excited to get out and start playing.
We have like the best coaches too, so we're super pumped.
That helps.
That's cool. Yeah, that definitely helps. Well, good. So today this is the first sort of segment of the mini series here, and we wanted to just get some background on the McCauleys, because how does one household, one family provide and deliver such golf success? And so kind of just going back into early life, how did you guys even get into golf? Like, at what age do you remember golf being like a focal point of I guess I'll start, Bella, with you, and then Reese, maybe part of it is just like, hey, my older sister played golf, but I guess Bella, when did golf become like this big focal point of your life?
So I think we've talked about it maybe on an earlier podcast, but I started golf when I was 6. So our dad used to teach golf before we were born, and so then when Reese and I were growing up, he was just like, I don't really care if they're good or not, but I just want them to love this game as much as I do and just have a good time playing it. So he got us started at a really young age and is actually still our swing coach to this day, which is kind of cool. But I probably didn't really start getting into it more till I was probably 10. Up until that point, it was just like, oh, I just want to be with Dad doing this. And
Yeah, right.
I was there for the candy. I was there just to, goof around.
We were there for the candy, let's be real.
Yeah.
How'd the candy come in?
Slushies.
Did you guys just...
It would be like literal.
Yeah,
It was
we'd
actually
have
bribing.
games.
It was actually bribing.
Bribing.
It was like you will get Starburst if you will get Starburst
Starburst.
if you come. Like
Oh,
if you
wow.
come to the
Yeah.
golf course,
Or like Skittles.
if you
We'd
hit a
have
good
Skittles.
shot, you get a Skittle.
Yeah.
Like if it was a shank, like probably not. But
Yeah, we'd play games. We'd have like this one game where like a TV show that we'd be watching at that time, like there'd be like a bad character and then like a good character, and then just like stuff in between. So like if we had a really good shot, it'd be like a really good character that he'd like pull
Yeah.
up,
He came
and
up with
then
all these
and then if
games.
it was like a
Yeah.
really bad shot, he's like, oh, it's this character. We're like, oh shoot.
So you got pretty creative with it.
Oh yeah,
Very
and
creative.
as a 6-year-old, it was like really fun. It was awesome.
Oh, it was so fun.
honestly, that would still be fun now.
Yeah.
That'd be good.
We still want the Skittles.
Yeah, but
Yes.
so then I started
Anyways.
really getting into it when I was about 10,
Mhm.
and really just started loving it for myself. And we would just get dropped off at the course like all day, and I just loved it. I kind of feel like I dragged you for a couple years, and then you started liking it. But I don't know. You can kind of give your point on that too.
Yeah. So we both started when we were 6, and I definitely was a little bit more dragged through it, I guess, for lack of better terms, the first couple of years. I really didn't start loving it until I was maybe like 12,
Yeah.
probably.
Yeah.
But yeah, in between that, it was just kind of like just fun with our dad and Bella, and yeah, and like friends. We just go out there and play with friends and play together. And yeah, I think if it wasn't for us playing together, we would probably be a lot worse.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Because
just
there'd
growing
be
up.
time, there were so many times I'd be like, all right, let's go. And she's like, no, Reese, like, you have to practice for another hour. And I'm like, fine.
Well,
So,
with these
yeah.
games, obviously they're, as you guys have started to realize at some point you guys are pretty good. I don't know if there was a certain age when that happened, and then also like between the two of you, was there some competition that started to happen, or I guess did you guys not really get pit against each other so much growing up? Like I'm curious about kind of, because you mentioned your dad got you on the course and had these games, and so I kind of wanted to. Yeah. Was it ever against you two, or was it more of just a friendly thing?
It was definitely just more of a friendly thing. There was a certain, like in high school, we started to get more competitive with each other, just in tournaments that we were playing against each other. But like when we were out playing for fun, we were not competitive at all.
Yeah, one thing about us is actually when we're playing for fun in the summer, we don't even keep score for most rounds, and so we just kind of hit like multiple different shots, or we're just hanging out with our friends or other members, or like junior members, and so we're kind of just playing and hitting different shots, and we're not as much like thinking about our score. So it's not like every round when we're out there we're like, what'd you shoot? It's just like, we're just having a good time, like trying to get better. So it's fairly relaxed and chill amongst us, which is kind of weird. We get that question a lot because you'd think sisters might be competitive, but we're not.
We were competitive in some though, and like even in college, like not necessarily competitive as in against each other, but competitive as in like if we're finding out that the other person's doing well, like we want to do better. But like it more just pushes the other person.
It's
motivational.
It's
more motivational than like competitive.
But if you had like ended up beating me, I wouldn't be like we wouldn't be like butthurt. Like we'd be like, awesome, like that's great.
Yeah.
Interesting. So when
like I beat her in like one round in the last tournament this past fall, and then the next day we were on the range. I'm like, Bella, like I'm kind of starting to feel this. Like I feel like I'm just really carrying the team.
I remember you telling us about that.
I was like, my back's hurting. Like, and then she like won the tournament. But the first day, I was like, I had to rub it in. But it did motivate her to then win the tournament.
That's what I was going to say. So you kind of need to take credit for the win.
So I pretty much did it. Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
But my point is like I also like neither of us were like, oh, you played better. Like no, we didn't really.
Yeah.
We
were like, we got this. Yeah.
Okay. So because then at some point golf became like a year-round thing. Like I guess because I mean up here in Minnesota there's 6-7 good months maybe of the year where you can actually be outside. So I guess was there a point where it became like a a year-round thing where it's like, okay, we're going to take this kind of seriously? You know,
Yeah.
your dad might have introduced you to maybe an indoor facility or something where you guys went to, or maybe you guys built something at home. I don't know.
Yeah.
how
Yeah,
that
kind of
worked for you
We
guys.
almost always golf was like
Yeah, it's
always
always
a
year-round.
year-round sport kind of for us. So in the winters, like even really early on at like 7, 8, we would have a net in our basement and
Yeah,
seriously just go down there even like twice a week or whatever it was and work on things with our dad. And then
We'd go to the golf dome too.
yeah, there used to be like a Minnesota
Practice.
Golf Academy that we would go
Oh.
to. And then I think he like kind of really instilled in us at a young age that like try to like look at winters as not a negative thing for golf and just
work
really
on
like
things.
spend a lot of time like working on your fundamentals, especially like at a young age when you're really just like trying to ingrain like grip and the fundamentals and like setup and everything. Like being on the course isn't always like super productive if you can't even like have a good stance or like know how to swing a club. So it was like he really like made us look at it like as a positive and just like, okay, we can really work on your swing now, and then when you go out on the course in the summer, you'll be able to see a lot of improvement. And that was like encouraging as a kid. Yeah.
It's definitely like
Sure.
a good way to do it because,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
it's very easy for someone to look at the winter as a negative.
Yeah.
It's like, well, we can't go outside and play golf, you know.
Well, and like we weren't
No, yeah, we've-
discouraged like either like
Yeah.
hitting into the net because like, and if we like shanked it or something, because we were just like, oh, we're not on the course like trying to keep score. Like we're just like, you know what I mean? Like
This doesn't count.
we're
Yeah.
just trying to like have a good time. So
Yeah.
and like work on things. So that
And then
really
when
like
we'd
helped.
come back, we'd like be better, and they were like, oh, like the winter is actually productive. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's interesting. I'm taking some mental notes now of kind of, because it starts at a young age of just the consistency of like the golf swinging, like you mentioned, the fundamentals.
Yeah.
And then now when it became like junior golf tournaments, you know, like is there a, again, would you guys ever play in the same division, or was it like age broken up where you guys were never like against each other,
We
so
were
to speak?
far enough, right? Like,
Yeah,
miles
we were
apart.
always far enough. We both started playing in tournaments when we were like 8,
Okay.
just like little ones and stuff. And yeah, like players tour, all that stuff. But we were like never in the same age group until high
Well,
school.
even like beginners tour. Is that what you mean? Like the little one?
Yeah, there was like the little one, and then and then middle school, and then high school was I think when we actually started playing against each other.
Yeah.
Like in tournaments.
Yeah, we were far enough apart in age where like we didn't always like play against each
No.
other, and especially like a 2 age, you know, we're 2 years
2 years.
apart, and so like that's not a big difference now, but like as a young kid, like it kind of was enough where it was like
Yeah.
separated by division, so we didn't like get like we weren't really against
Yeah.
each other that at an early age, which was good. And then as we got older into high school, we were, but like we still were in sometimes different events and stuff, so we didn't play against each other as much as like you would think either.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah. we played a
I
lot
mean,
for
as
fun.
someone who played, you know, I have a brother 2 years younger than me, and we were playing junior golf all the time, and it's kind of what my experience was. I was
Yeah.
in South Dakota, but it was like, you know, there was like a 14 to 15 age division,
Right.
and like a 12 to 13,
Yes.
or like 11, you know.
Yeah.
Very
So it
Were
was
you guys
always
competitive.
no. Well, I think we're more competitive now than we were then. I would say.
Okay.
So it's kind of
Okay.
similar to you guys.
That's funny.
But he's much better than I am. Much better than I am right now. So anytime I do beat him, I let him know. So
Yeah.
uh,
Feel that.
Yeah.
As you should.
we'll play in a couple tournaments in the year during the year that are the same, and it'll get somewhat dicey between us. But that's how it goes. So now you guys are teammates in high school, and now teammates with the Gophers. What has it been like, Reese, to be a teammate of with your older sister, that during that time? Because we talked about the competitive side, kind
Yeah.
of maybe in those few events where you guys are maybe going against each other, but now as teammates, what's that
Yeah.
dynamic like? Sort of looking up to an older
Totally.
sister.
Yeah, what's it been like, Reese? You're on the spot here. Say good thing.
No pressure.
It actually has been really good. I mean, that's why I chose, or that was one of the reasons I chose to come to the U and chose to be your teammate. But yeah, in high school, we definitely were like very close because we spent so much time together. We had a lot of the same interests. But we weren't like as close as we became in college or the last couple years.
Yeah.
Even just since she's been in college the last 3 years. But yeah, like we were still super close, and it was fun to be teammates. And so then when it came came time to make the college decision, I was
Yeah.
like, you know, there's a lot of other factors, but
Right.
that was one of them. As I was like, oh, like it'd be really fun to be teammates, and yeah, we've just gotten closer since. So
Yeah, it's been good.
And then, I mean, your perspective now on having a younger sister as
Yeah.
a teammate, you know, now, because you've been teammates for how many actual years now? It's been like
Wait.
5-6 years. I know there's a break
Wait.
there where you were at.
yeah,
3, 4, like 5. This is like our 5th year or something. Cause like 4 in high school.
4 together in high school.
Yeah, and then I
suppose
guess
'cause-
3 without COVID. I guess
7,
so
8.
3.
Oh, okay.
But
and
that's
then-
still playing a season together.
Oh, okay. So then 4 if you count COVID, and then this is our 5th.
So like 5th. Yeah, that's our 5th season.
Yeah.
together.
It's actually interesting because I don't think we would have ever like early on in high school if you had said like we'd be at the same college. I don't think we would have.
didn't want
we would.
it.
We would.
Probably.
We didn't probably like thought that was ever gonna
Yeah.
happen, or we probably didn't even
We
want
didn't
that.
even think about college either.
We
like,
didn't really think about it.
We
that
were
much.
not very like college focused.
We
Like,
were just
we
like
were just like playing golf
and
just-
having a good time.
and yeah, like just doing our best, just
Yeah.
practicing
Yeah.
a lot, and then just thought.
But I also thought like
See
I
what
was gonna
happens.
move away like south a little
Yeah.
bit, and then you thought you were gonna.
I
stay
always
home.
thought I was gonna stay close.
Okay.
Yeah, and so
Yeah.
then
Interesting.
when I committed here to stay home, which has been like the
I was
best
like,
decision.
well, like you took my decision anyways.
Yeah, so then it became
okay.
a little bit.
Okay.
So then it became a little bit more real of like, oh, like Reese could actually we could actually be
Yeah.
on the same team,
Yeah.
which that was like the first time it kind of entered our minds. And then as like obviously like you made your own decision, but yeah, it was kind of cool. So like initially we didn't even like think we'd end up at the same school, which is kind of cool now that we did.
Interesting. Was part of your decision like, hey, I'm gonna miss my little sister?
No, that was not the reason. but like
It's
it was
yeah.
like now I'm really glad I did. I chose it I did choose it to like be close to family and like stay around in Minnesota. And then also just like I really loved like the team dynamics and the coaches here. And then, but now like it's just been really awesome being teammates. So it's been like it's cool to see that worked out, even though we didn't even like plan it early on.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay. So one thing I wanted to also maybe bring up here, and we got just a little bit of time, was I know we've done this in the past, Bella, was kind of trying to grow the game a little bit, and you guys had a I would say rather unique experience of getting into the game of golf, but
Yeah.
I guess want to get perspectives from both of you on maybe ways or tactics I guess we could use to get more junior players, junior girls into golf at a young age and through that route kind of grow the game in a sense.
For sure.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I think one of them is just like having people around you, because at least for me, I'm very like socially driven, I guess.
Yeah.
And so having just like friends or siblings around you just to be like even just going out and playing golf with you all the time, going out and practicing. We were like super blessed because our home course right now has a ton of like really good juniors who are out there all the time.
Yeah.
And so we just go out there and we're like literally just hanging out with friends,
Yeah.
but then also like practicing, working on things and
Yeah.
playing golf, and it just makes it so much easier and so much more fun. So specifically for girls who are younger, just like getting around other girls who are playing golf, like other juniors who kind of are maybe even on the same track as you. Sometimes it's hard to find, but just getting around people, even if it's older kids or younger, whatever. So
Yeah.
that was super helpful.
I was gonna say the same thing. That's like a huge point that I make, just like getting around friends, because sometimes golf is so individual.
Yeah.
You're not like you don't get the team aspect that you do in other sports, and I think that's kind of one reason it like deters kids from starting to play. And I think it's like really important. So if you can surround yourself with like a lot of kids or a lot of friends that like can play with you, that can just make it a lot more enjoyable. But then something else that I say to parents is just starting your kids young is really, really important, I think. Just because if you can get them started at like 6, 7 and just, knowing some of the basic fundamentals, I mean, they don't need to be good by any means, but just, know how to hold a club, know how to swing. By the time they hit like 13, 14, maybe want to play in high school, like they're going to feel so much more confident and comfortable over the golf ball to like go out and play in tournaments. I think that's another thing that deters people, is just like it can be embarrassing, if you don't really know what you're doing, or
kind of get discouraged because it's so hard.
Yeah, and you're just out there by yourself. You don't have a team to encourage you. So I think starting young is super important. I always say that to parents, is just even getting them just out on the course, or swinging a club once in a while. Like, that just helps so much. And I think that was something really huge for Reese and I. Like, we would have been, like, if we didn't know how to play golf, like, by the time we were in high school and, like, a little bit more self-conscious, like, there's no chance we would have wanted to play.
Yeah.
But, like, because we were, like, felt confident and, like, comfortable in what we were doing, we're like, oh, this is great. But it would have been very different the other way, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, it is fascinating because golf. You're right. Golf is so different from other sports. Even when you start as a junior or a kid, or youth sports, it's always a team thing. If it's softball or baseball, or if it's basketball, or you name the sport around here, it's hockey. You're always on a team. But this is different, and you kind of, in a way too, you sort of have. It is up to the parents, but it's also then up to the person as well, as they get older, to kind of dedicate themselves to it as well.
Totally.
So yeah, that's a good kind of thought, because as we kind of transition, we got some future episodes coming up here talking about some of the other things. But I wanted to just kind of, in wrapping here, if you have any, like, I don't know, advice for, maybe there's a junior right now listening to this that is, or someone that's maybe even they're older, maybe they're an adult and they're trying to get into the game. What would you tell them? Because I feel like, from my perspective, golf is growing. Where, like, so much more young people are playing.
Yeah.
And it's becoming this, like, when I was in high school and younger, golf wasn't a cool thing. And now I feel like it's becoming the cool thing, right? And so for those individuals that are trying to, jump into golf, would you start lessons? Would you start by just going out and trying it? I guess, what would you guys say to those folks?
I would say, I think I would say it's probably a little bit of a combo of both, like maybe starting out with a lesson if you're completely brand new, but then also just, like, going to the range and trying. Like, it doesn't need to start by just going to the golf course. I probably would recommend, like, range first and getting a little bit more comfortable before you go out and play. And then I also would just say, like, this is just, like, kind of cliche, but it's just going to take a lot of practice and a lot of time, and
A lot of patience.
it's a lot of patience for sure too. And some people are really just naturally gifted, but golf is one of the things that, like, even, like, some sports don't translate over super well. Like, it's just, like, it's just very different from a lot of other sports. So don't get frustrated. Don't get, like, easily discouraged right away and, like, just give up. Just go out to the range, try a little bit, continue to hit some balls, and I think eventually, like, you'll eventually, like, see, like, just you'll fall in love with it. Like, it's so addicting. It's so fun to, like, be out there and trying to get better. Sure. But it just definitely takes a little bit of time to, like, get into a groove of, like, what you're doing. And so I think a combination of, like, lessons and range is, like, super important to start out.
Yeah, for sure. I agree. I think it's, like, somewhere between, like, having the discipline to actually, like, put the work in, have lessons, have practice, and then, obviously, like, go out there and play. And then also just, like, the fun aspect of it too, so that it doesn't get, like, so, just mundane or boring, or
kind of this, like, you don't want it to be all about your score either.
Exactly.
That can make it not fun.
Yeah, I mean,
100%. We, like, rarely even keep score when we're playing for fun.
That's what I was gonna say. Yeah, like, we don't almost
there's
never keep
so
score.
many days that we just hit, like, a bunch of different shots and just trying different
things. Was this the case when you were, like, younger too? Like, I mean, obviously now you're at, like, a really high level, but even, you go out and grab a quick 9 holes or something like that at, your home course. Was that, you would barely keep score?
Yeah, I mean, I think sometimes we did. Especially, like, when we were seeing, like, a lot of improvement in just, like, a couple year difference of, like, like, our scores are really changing. I would want to, like,
keep track to then see, like,
what's actually happening. Yeah. But, like, I mean, honestly, in the last, like, 7 years, like, I don't think we really ever, like...
Really?
Yeah, it's actually crazy. Like, that's another thing, is, like, don't go out there and think you need to keep score. Like, seriously, just have a good time and, like, try to hit fun, like, hit shots and just, like, try new things. And
there's rounds, like, to have just, like, R&D days, like, just to have fun days where you just kind of go out there, play, just play with friends, hit different shots. And then there's days to go out there and, like, really try to have a good score. And I think having, like, a mixture of both of those, but definitely not always having to keep score.
Though.
I mean, anybody though. I mean, I think
Yeah.
I think that
I think it's good to
applies
learn.
because I know
Yeah.
I'm guilty of. Every time I go play golf, like I'm focused on my score from the very first hole. Like I'm worried about I have a I'm trying to keep it around par. But if I get frustrated when I like make a double bogey or a triple bogey,
Yeah.
and then I'm like, well, now I got to make some birdies. And I start forcing it, and it becomes it impactful on my game and my enjoyment of it.
Yeah.
So I think that it actually is very cool to hear a perspective of someone that's at your level, that's played as much golf as you have, to say, hey, a lot of the time I go play, I don't even keep score, or it's on the very, very back of my mind.
Yes.
Right.
That's fascinating. Well, this has been great. So this is the conclusion of kind of the first part of our mini series here, 4 parts. Stay tuned,
Awesome.
viewers and listeners, because we've got more coming. We're going to talk about the life of a college golfer. Obviously, these two know a little bit about that. We'll also dive in a future episode with on the fitting and equipment side. Aaron Roth is going to join us for that one. Your guys' club fitter from Second Swing, and then we're also going to have a segment on, of course, Augusta coming up as well for Bella. So,
Perfect.
Bella and Reese, thank you for joining today. This was awesome.
Thank you so much for having us on. We're having fun.